Gentleman yields back. It's now my pleasure for the chair to recognize the gentlelady from New York, Ms. Tenney, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Wagner. Thanks. Thank you, Chairwoman Wagner. I thank the panel for being here today. It's an extremely important hearing. Like Mr. Hollingsworth, I too am a business owner and am uniquely aware of the difficult access to credit for small businesses, as I come from one of the poorest and highest taxed districts in the nation in central New York. And I see the CFPB as more of an obstacle. I respectfully disagree with my colleagues. Understand that Dodd-Frank has just given this unconstitutional, I deem it unconstitutional as someone who's also an attorney and who has done a little work before the federal courts in fighting what Chevron has become. And I know that you've answered many of the questions, but I'd just like to direct this to Mr. Olson, since I commend you on your fine service, and also I've had the pleasure of actually reading some of your briefs before the Supreme Court. And I just wanted to know, I mean, we obviously know the structure is, legislative delegation of power unchecked. You've discussed all that. Can you just comment, if you can, about where you think the future of the Chevron deference is going to be, as you say, this unaccountable legislative delegation? You say the courts can actually draw this back, but are the courts actually doing that? Is that something we can, in your opinion, what does the Supreme Court look like in the future where we can actually start rolling back some of these, over-bloated bureaucratic schemes and some of the overreach of power with the CFPB?
Well, it's very hard to predict, of course, what the Supreme Court might do in a particularly given case, but I think there is a widespread consensus that the Chevron doctrine, the deference to decisions by administrative agencies interpreting their own authority, has gone pretty far, maybe too far. And when Congress gives broad discretion to administrative or executive branch agencies, and then they decide to interpret that authority in ways that are very, very expansive, the courts perhaps should exercise a more scrupulous role in disciplining that process.
Don't you think that it would be, in your opinion, a good thing for this to be rolled back into the executive branch? I know you've sort of touched on this, so that we can have oversight, the jurisdiction of the Oversight Committee, in addition to the Office of Budget Management, Management Budget. It just seems to me that this is just an out-of-control agency. As a new member and someone who has seen what happens in a state with a very large bureaucracy and a very large executive branch that's somewhat out of control, and might I add, sadly considered one of the most dysfunctional and most corrupt legislatures in the nation. But something I see happening on the federal level is this enormous bureaucracy unchecked. So
I agree with that. I think that it needs to be brought into check, into the constitutional system. I think that this agency, this Congress went way too far with this agency, and it could be a model, as one of my colleagues said, for legislation in the future. Why not roll the Justice Department? Why not roll the Treasury Department? Why not roll the EPA all into one agency and then give that individual running that agency complete power to do whatever he or she wants to do? That is a very, very bad model. It's a very unconstitutional model. As I said at the end of my testimony, it is a constitutional nightmare.
I agree wholeheartedly. Thank you so much for your comments and for the panel today. I appreciate it. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. It's